You know what review this is. Let's just get to it. For those of you who don't know, the Walther PPKS, which of course is this, brings back a lot of memories, doesn't it? From 007, from GoldenEye, which is that awesome N64 game that I remember growing up with, as well as you grew up with, to James Bond.
Bond. James Bond.
And then, of course, the most annoying son of a bitch known to man. But I think the big thing we like about the Walther PPK is it's just a really smooth shooting gun. The real steel itself, which I've actually shot a Walther PPK, is probably the most smooth shooting gun I've ever shot in my life. Now, I say that as someone who has not shot a lot of handguns. I've shot mostly long rifles and shotguns, but still. Oh, as well as some surplus rifles, but that's a video for another day. But the big thing about the pistol, though, is that it's really good. But the cool part is the history of the Walther PPK. The Walther PPK was actually designed as a concealed carry, or at least from what I've read. You guys may have better sources than me, but the Walther PPK was actually designed to be a concealed carry for law enforcement in West Germany. And I can see why. The controls and the way it's designed is definitely meant for police officers. Taking off the silencer, of course, which is right on there. The controls are all within reach of the hand. I can actuate the slide safety with my thumb. I can hit the magazine release with my thumb. And even if you're a southpaw, you can still actuate everything with one finger. Hell, you can even just barely press the button with the muscle of your index finger, just like that. And it's not really that much of a hassle. Just one thing I gotta commend Walther for is its eye for detail and its commitment for quality. Now, here's the question. Does that same quality in history of firearms, as well as firearms quality, transfer over to the Springer? Well, let's get into it, shall we? The Walther Springer is actually a little bit better than I give it credit for. But at the same time, there are downfalls to it that we'll get into later on. The pistol itself is all polymer, however it does have a metal magazine release, a metal trigger, metal hammer, and metal selector. Or, my bad, not selector, slide lever. And, of course, a metal magazine bottom, which, if you have bigger hands, will definitely help, especially with me, in case you go to grip it, or you're gripping it like this, and that right there. Now, granted, a lot of you are probably saying, oh, those sights are pretty damn small. Well, now here's the thing. This gun was originally, the original design purpose of the gun was more or less a, oh shit, a immediate pull-out reaction point click. That's what this gun mostly is. It's a concealed carry gun. It's a gun you have on your person right next to the smaller gas gun, right next to the Derringer, and then right next to your rubber knife, which means not only do you have your main sidearm, but you also have this, your backup pistol, and your backup pistol, and then your knife. So in a literal sense, you take it and fire. However, there are downfalls to it, but like I said, we'll get to that in the second half. But the big thing I love about this is the fact that this is actually done by Umarex USA. Umarex USA, who has the exclusive license for Walther. And I'm not gonna lie, I love that they do have Walther on the grips, Walther on the slide, like you would find in the real steel, and all the accessories, including the fact that it's actually called a Walther PPK/S. Because, again, to my knowledge, the real steel could actually be fitted with a suppressor. Not like this, of course, you actually, or I believe, it's a little weird on the history. But The cool thing is that the suppressor actually does sort of work. This actually is made of solid plastic, although I do believe there are little air holes in there. I'm not sure. I can't see them all together, but there is an audible difference. Let's go ahead and fire it for you. There's that. Let's go ahead and put on the suppressor, the mock suppressor. There is definitely an audible difference, which is actually kind of cool. However, if you wanted to go one step further, you could actually hollow this out and actually fill this up with foam. At the same time, though, you could actually put a barrel in there and actually fully extend it, which I might actually do with this. I'm not sure. But outside of that, the big thing that this comes with, or at least the kit that it comes with, does come with a bottle of 400 Umarex BBs, which I do like. These BBs are actually really good .12s, and they're kind of fun to mess around with in backyard skirmishes and things like that. Besides this magazine, it also comes with a second magazine, which is not as ornate or as cool as this, but it's okay. It's decent. It's alright. But the big thing I definitely want to say about Umarex USA is that this is definitely an affordable piece of equipment. And yes, equipment, because airsoft is a sport. Don't mess this. Anyway, this whole thing is actually $18. Yes, $18 on sale right now on eBike. That's pretty damn good for the price. Like under $20, and even at stock MSRP, it's $20. That's really fucking good. Now, you're seeing the gloves. Yeah, let me go ahead and get into the first bit of gripes before we actually get into the big gripes, shall we? The biggest gripe has to be the slide. While you have the cool serrations on here, the sights are where it does have is where the downfall begins for this gun. The sights are painful. And if you're like me and you've messed with nothing but 1911s and other bigger handguns, then when you go to grip this, you are just digging into that beaver tail, thinking there's a beaver tail there to stop you, and you're just digging into it, and this plastic here, or at least the edges of it, are digging into your hand, which is why I have the gloves. Not only that, but if you don't rack this all the way back, you are not going to feed a BB. That and the prime on this is hellacious. But there are more gripes to get into, as well as how it can be improved. So let's go ahead and get to the range test and the firing and all that good jazz. And yeah, let's get into it, shall we? Alright, we are out here on my nice little farm. Just go ahead and get the glasses on because I don't want a ricochet coming at me. Now we are going to shoot this with two things. One without the suppressor and one with the suppressor. Now it is loaded with 0.2 gram Black Ops BBs. And here we go. A little 120 FPS, 126, and I don't know if it's me, but the BBs are legitimately phew. No, they're seriously hopping up big time without the suppressor on. 121. So we're getting around 120 FPS. Now let's do it with the suppressor on. And I think the suppressor is there to help with the BBs curving up horribly, because I think the hop on this is over hopping them pretty bad. Here we go. 122. No, it's not the internal hop up, it's the chronograph. 123. So with the suppressor on, it's definitely a bit of a better FPS boost. Anyway, let's go ahead, load up the mag a little bit more, and let's try a distance test, shall we? Alright then, here we are, about 60 or so feet, and we got a round chamber. Let's see if it'll hit the barn, shall we? No, it won't. Oh, we had a malfunction there. That's new. Just go ahead and take out the suppressor, because the mock suppressor at least, just to see what's going on here. Because we did have a failure to fire, which is something really new to me.
it almost hit. It hit that time. It did hit. So it's a hit and miss on the distance. But I'm going to go ahead and go on a limb here and say 50 feet is probably your best distance, is probably the max distance this bad boy. 0.2s. Now, let's go ahead and go to the targets and see what the grouping is, okay? Okay. So you are seeing a selfie cam. I'm actually finally figured out the COD Ghost requires 4 hours of charge, or 2 hours of charge in order to work 4 hours. Hopefully this thing won't die during recording. You may see me do this. That's just me usually checking the camera, make sure it's still recording. I've got a GoPro down there of the wild Antifa target, because of course Antifa is going to turn to Raiders in post-apocalyptia. And here I am with my +2 charisma authority glasses, +1 perception, hopefully enough that'll help, along with the Rooney hat, which is a +1 perception also. Ooh, I spit it a little bit on the camera, my bad. Along with my gloves, which is a +5 to unarmed. Yes, I'm doing a lot of Fallout references. Don't judge me. Anyway, so I'm going to do 2 magazines. The other magazine's in my pocket here. And yeah, this should be interesting. I will be switching to my offhand just to see how well it works with that. So yeah. Switching my offhand.
Target, the shots were all over the place, but granted, I was using the suppressor with the camera on it, so that might have affected it a little bit. But yeah, outside that though, it was still very decently accurate. I did get a couple headshots here, but this is still a torso-sized target. So yeah, that's how it is. That, and let's face it, the pistol is more or less a, oh god, grab, point, and just click, not really a, you know, I'm trying to go for accuracy type deal. This is one of those backup pistols where you can't reload your sidearm in time, and you can't reload your primary in time. You got a backup gun to your backup gun, basically. This is how it is. But yeah, let's go back to the studio and see how it turns out, okay? You saw some of the issues, and believe me, there were some big issues. There's even some bigger issues, because trust me, there's a lot I gotta get into, so let's go ahead and get into the negatives of this thing. Besides the sights being hellacious and digging into your skin whenever you go to actually prime it, and yes, I did actually cut my thumb on this once, which is why I'm wearing the gloves. It's just not that, it's just bad all around on certain design choices, including the hammer. Which, if you're... Yep, that's what I was afraid of. The hammer literally got stuck in the slide. However, what's bad is that if you go to rack it and you somehow, fucking Herculean luck, fire it and the hammer does get stuck up in there, it's going to get stuck up inside the slide, and you're going to have to put a wrench or something through that little hole, hold it down as you're racking the slide again. That, and the feeding issue is bad. Like I said, if you don't pull it all the way back for you to actually load in a BB, it's not going to be great. The FPS, of course, is an obvious FPS. Of course, they could have done a little better, but my biggest gripe has to be, of course, the actual it has to be the feeding mech and the slide. There is big issues with this and a lot of concern in my opinion. And yes, I know this has been out for a while now, and I haven't seen a lot of actual good, detailed reviews on this. Believe me, I want to give this a really high score, and I probably am going to give it a high score. But the big issues that it faces can actually lead to malfunction and even the gun breaking in an actual combat thing. Now, granted, you're probably thinking, oh, who would actually rock this in combat? In my opinion, this is actually up there as a good concealed carry Springer pistol. In case your primary goes down, your secondary goes down, you go to grab for this, and you fire, do that, because again, you're not actually going to use the sights. No, it's just more or less have it racked, have the safety on, oh shit, my primary went down, my secondary went down, pull this out, flip the safety, fire, 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 then that's out. You drop that, you go for your secondary, you go for your backup, basically go for your backup, you fire, 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 and then finally, When that's out, you go for your Derringer. And you, 1, 2. And then when that's over, you go for your knife. And you throw it. And then you go and start karate chopping people. But, joking aside, of course, there are some issues with this gun, and believe me, they will lead to things, and if I just kept getting into this, if I kept actually trying to bite into this pistol, I'd be nitpicking by this point in time, which, let's face it, we don't want to nitpick. We really don't. So, where does this gun fall on the list? On the score, I mean. Does not get my highest score. Nor does it get the lowest score. But it is... But with the performance and what it is, and the fact that it's perfectly replicated, for anyone who wants that James Bond loadout, for anyone who wants a gun for your Fallout cosplay, for anyone who wants something that is actually really good for the price tag, this gun gets no more, no less than a 7 out of 10. It's a decent gun. And believe me, it's not that bad. It's actually really good. And honestly, I can say if you got $20 or even you just want a simple pistol for your backup, a backup to your backup, I can heavily recommend this. Just don't go manhandling it and fucking rack it fast as you can. Not only that, but if you need something for that one son of a bitch who keeps saying, General, an Irish helmet needs your help. I'll mark it on your map. Then I can definitely recommend this gun for you. That was a decent little review. Time to get the editing going. Well, I think it's time we patrolled the Mojave. Till next time.